Hello everyone and welcome back to Is That Brandon's TikTok account. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a review to I'm a Celebrity 2025 episode 13. So we'll begin in Doomsville. Martin explained he wanted to win the trial for immunity. He didn't want to be the first one going home. Kelly explained that she's one of the underdogs and they are not, as Doomsville, to be underestimated. In Win City, Ginge and Jack said that they've got their game faces on, with Vogue explaining that she didn't want to be a wimp today. And I think Jack basically said, Vogue, you've never been a wimp, you've never come across her like that. And I think she just kind of was like, you know what, I just want to win, basically. And H also said to Shona that she needs to be doing it for everybody in her family photo, and added that she's only known Alex for 2 weeks. So, you know, you can only get so close to somebody in a few weeks or whatever. But, you know, her family and her friends are the ones that come first. They're the ones that she's doing it for. Shona explained that she felt like it was good to know that they're immune, but it's also good that they're all back together. Kelly explained that she really enjoyed the dinner and hopefully it's not her last. Tom also explained that to Ruby that he's met so many gifted people, but she's the only one with funny bones, someone that he kind of feels like he can bond with and get on with and just gel with. H said he was born in Manchester but raised in Doomsville, and if he was going to bring somebody to the jungle, he was going to choose somebody like Bob Marley, with Ginge questioning whether he was dead or not. So he obviously doesn't watch the news. They were also practicing their sneeze impersonations before dinner. So they're practicing how to do a fake sneeze. Ruby explained that she felt like it was her that was leaving tomorrow. And we also found out that it was Martin who got lucky. He didn't have to take part in that cave trial. So it was the other 6. So the 4 people that actually lost their battle. And then Ginge and H, who obviously both just, neither of the 2 of them won out of theirs. So it was Alex, H, Kelly, Jack, Ginge and Ruby. Kelly explained that there are obviously things meeting them on the inside, and each piece was the colour of a star, and they had to build a puzzle, with Kelly explaining that she didn't really know what she was doing. So I think out of the 6 of them, the 2 that were struggling the most were Kelly and Ruby. I think obviously as the pieces were coming out, the heads were up against this thing and their hands obviously had to go through and put different parts together. So if you got a red part, you would obviously have to make a red star. If you got a green one, green star. So I think it didn't really matter who did what. It was just kind of get all your parts that make your shape star and then just start helping everyone else. So I think Jack was trying to quietly and helpfully try and help Kelly. I don't know whether she was just stressed and just not listening, or whether she was just, you know, screaming and whatever, but she wasn't really understanding what he was saying in terms of the help, and, you know, she couldn't grab it in the end. So yeah, bit of an interesting mission, but yeah, like I said, Jack managed to get done very quickly. I think so did H, but the other 4 seemed to struggle a bit, and then yeah, Ruby and Kelly just, yeah, so they managed to get 4 out of the 6 stars there. Lisa explained that this was their last meal tonight as a solid 12. Ruby explained that for her, the whole situation's been really tough. And yeah, Kelly explained that even if she wanted to move in that trial, you just weren't able to move, and there was lots of things biting them. Eddie explained that obviously coming into camp, this is what they've all come in here for, to enjoy, to eat, to celebrate the bond between them, and that tomorrow is just another day. Kelly was talking to Jack about his granddad, John Arden, and Jack basically explained that there were certain artists that weren't being signed to management, and at some points felt like money was being stolen from some of these artists. I think it's one that you kind of just have to research about. Like I said, I don't really know anything about this whole music industry situation from years ago. 1, I wasn't here, and 2, it's not really something I look into if it's kind of happened that many years ago. But basically, I think he used to only sign black artists, wanted to obviously raise their profile and help them get popular, so obviously missing out on people like the Beatles, for example, but also they would steal money from bands in order to, I don't even know what really, but yeah. Jack basically explained that, you know, being in that industry or being in any sort of industry and having power usually corrupts people. So I think, you know, when the granddad was younger, he was probably absolutely fine, and then as he got more and more rich, he was like becoming more and more corrupt. But I think that's just how it was back in those days. And I think, you know, now you don't really hear or see about those things as much, but you know it's going on. You know people are not being paid well. You know refunds are not being given to people, or extra money or whatever. So yeah, it's just a very sticky situation, but I guess they just tapped into that to get people talking about it. Eddie explained to Ginge, Tom and Ruby that obviously what was the biggest night of watching him on a stream. Ginge basically explained he used to have well, on one night he had 85,000 people watching him play a FIFA match, with Ruby explaining it was a whole new world for her, kind of questioning whether it's something she could do and things like that. And Tom explained it would probably be a roaring success if Ruby was to have her own YouTube channel. So, yeah, they were kind of talking about, you know, basically what she does anyway, interviewing people, talking to people, being funny, making funny content. She could absolutely do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ginge and Ruby end up doing some sort of collaboration or something outside of the jungle, because I think he said he was actually going to help her anyway. The next game was Kev's Deals on Wheels. This was for Vogue and Eddie. It was at the Zootropolis Police Department. And basically what they had to do is work out who of the different animal options was the person who committed the crime, basically. Vogue explained that she was Mare Wind Dancer, and obviously the dingo dollars had been stolen. There was evidence in the pond outside, and they had to go and find the evidence by obviously grabbing those different items. And Vogue explained they needed to whittle it down to the suspect, with Eddie explaining that there was no stopping them. So, yeah, in terms of the little like toys and stuff, basically they went to go and grab certain things, and they had resemblance for different animals. So I think there was something with fluff, and they were like, okay, so which animals have fluff? Or it was something like yellow, so which animals were and weren't yellow. So with each clue they found from each item, they kind of whittled it down. And then at one point Vogue said, I haven't picked up any trophies yet, have you? And Eddie was like, yeah, I've picked up a few, you know, talking probably about on the outside, but she was like, no, I meant, you know, in the pond. So yeah, it was quite funny, but they seemed to do all right there. And then the question that Kev had for the campmates was, which of these is not an episode title from one of Vogue's podcast episodes, My Therapist Ghosted Me? A, Tantrums, Flashing, and What the Lord Wants. 2, Sleeves, Spoilers, and Saints. And then the third one, Mother, Memories, and Madness. So the campmates basically thought that the third one was a little bit too generalised. That's the one they went for, and they were absolutely correct. Tom explained it had nothing specific, it was just kind of a very, you know, general thing. Eddie explained it was definitely not C, because that's the name of one of his podcast episodes. That was really interesting to kind of have that in there as well. Tom was reciting more literature lines. Ginge explained he didn't understand half of what Tom just said. And for dinner they had Silky, with Kelly explaining that it was black, and that it kind of looked like little baby dinosaurs, with explaining that nothing looks good until it's cooked in the pan. Shona said it's much better than she thought, having silky black chicken, and Kelly explained that she'd worked all day to achieve food for dinner. So, you know, although it didn't look great, it did actually kind of taste all right. Lisa explained that she's had absolutely endless fun from day one, even when the ships were down. Martin said the group of people have become a tighter family, creating friendship and a special bond of things that they've done together. Kelly said the thought of walking along the bridge was obviously absolutely upsetting. Tom said he's absolutely meant to be in this random cluster of people. Alex said she felt like she's been on some sort of roller coaster, and, you know, emotions have gone up and down, and she's going to tell everyone about this magical roller coaster she's been on that she never wants to come off. Eddie said it feels like everybody in here represents a piece of his family. Ruby explained that the feeling of love swells on her, and it basically said a massive thank you for letting her enjoy this sensation. And Shona said, thank you to everyone for letting me open up and be myself. We've really made a change. So, yeah, Antideck came into the jungle, and we found out that the first person that was going to be eliminated was either Alex or Kelly, and it was Alex. So Alex Scott was your first eliminated campmate. She survived 14 days, did a skydive and challenges including offal, and eating sheep brain and goat's testicles. And she initially basically just said to Antideck, I'm really sorry if I stink. Martin explained that Alex always had determination on her face, and Alex said that she thought the experience was a lot more than what she thought it would actually be. She explained it doesn't feel real, having lived with the campmates, and she's obviously now out of the game. Mentally, it's obviously quite difficult being in there. She loved the laughter and humour, didn't expect that to come into the jungle, and she explained that she didn't want to be a fuss about the whole sweet situation, getting involved with, you know, arguments with Ruby or whatever. But she also added that somebody also keeps leaving the toilet seat up, but she wasn't going to reveal who it was because they were a national treasure, and then ended up going on to say it was Martin. Deck asked whether her football ground background actually helped with the situation, and she said, you know, having no sleep, having to get up and do breakfast and build a fire and do your bit for the team, it was really tough. And obviously you don't kind of get to see all of that when you're at home watching the 1 hour episode. The whole situation with Shona, she said that she was closest with Shona in there, and obviously they were rivals. It was fun, and once they do their little rivalry battle, they kind of leave that there, and then they actually go back to just being friends and friendly again. And then they asked about the whole Saltgate situation, her bringing in the packets of salt. She said she managed to just put loads of salt in her socks on the way in. She decided to put it on a spoon and actually, instead of actually putting it straight into the food, she put it on a spoon, gave it to Jack, and then Jack put the salt in as well. So I guess he was kind of on it. He was probably a bit like, what? But obviously didn't want to make a note of anything. She also added that her and Shona have quite quiet personalities. They began opening up to each other. Obviously, it was nice to see Shona progress, she said, throughout the experience. And I think overall, she said she would like to see Shona win. She said Ginge and H would be absolutely great for the final, but Queen Shona, it would be nice to see her win, having, shown her progression throughout the whole episode. So I think it's one of those things. It's really, really sad to be the first one out. I think it's obviously really sad for them to actually start losing any of their campmates as well, because they've been in there for obviously the 13 days, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we're actually now starting to lose campmates. But I think Alex was absolutely great. She was very vocal, she was very brave, she did a few trials on her own. I think she didn't probably talk as much or get involved as much as people wanted her to. But I think she came out of her show really, really well. It was a nice bit of a platform for her to kind of grow her audience a bit. I think even some of the things that she was saying in the show about, having more women in sports and sports presenting and things like that, it's just nice to see, because if you are a young girl or if you are a teenage girl and you see someone on the screen that looks like you or that's in the same industry that you want to go into, it's going to make you go, actually, you know what, I can achieve that and I can do that. So, yeah. That was it for episode 13, so I do hope you enjoyed my review. There are 11 campmates left, so we'll find out who goes next in the next episode. But until my next review, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.